What's up, beautiful people? Shell here over at A Radical Relationship, where we are all about helping women go deeper in their relationships with God, self, and others through self-examination. First, what's up, y'all? First things first, when y'all are seeing this video, it's gonna be Thursday, September 1st, which is the day before my 30th birthday. So happy early birthday to your girl. We're going into 30 tip-top shape, okay? Tip-top shape. So excited about going into 30. So much purpose going into 30. I've made a number of posts just about my excitement going into this new decade. I'm like, I'm about to flip a page. Thank you, Jesus. Flipping a page. So shout out to your girl. Leave some happy birthday comments below so I can see them and be encouraged, okay? Because I'm gonna have a good time. I'm gonna have a real good time. All right, so the title of today's video is Why Did My Marriage Fail? Okay, in the last video I spent some time talking to you all about what I did differently this second time around in my dating relationship. So just giving you all some things to consider that I practically did differently. If you haven't checked out that video, please go back and check it out. I've watched it back over myself and was just like, that's good right there, sis. That's good. So in this video, why did my marriage fail? I wanted to talk about some things that in retrospect I realized weren't as beneficial as maybe I thought they were, or if I just didn't realize at the time that that wasn't enough, that I think contributed to the failure of my marriage. And so these are going to be kind of some general things. Within my marriage, there were very specific conflicts, very specific issues that were not resolved. So there was that piece too. But for the purposes of this video and the things that I think would be most helpful, I just kind of want to reflect on kind of some of the broader overarching kind of mindsets and things that I thought were really the it. And in retrospect, it wasn't, or at least it wasn't enough. So let's get into it. Yeah. All right. First is spiritual counseling isn't enough. I know. Let's get into it. Spiritual counseling isn't enough. We were very involved in our church, sought a lot of advice, were consistent in our discipling relationships for the most part, all of those things. The reality is that the spiritual piece is definitely the foundation. And you're going to have to keep going back to that spiritual component in very practical ways to have a successful relationship with anybody, to have a successful marriage for sure. Spiritual principles are foundational. There are so many one-off situations that the Bible don't speak to, and the Bible don't speak to your trauma. The other thing is that many people who are in leadership at church, or that you may be in discipling relationships with, are not trained or equipped to deal with your trauma. And 9.5 times out of 10, there's something much deeper than just the spiritual principle that you need to obey that is probably contributing to what you are experiencing in the relationship. And your pastor, your discipler, the spiritual leadership in your life, while that is absolutely necessary because you need to be growing in that area, it's not enough. It's not. I mentioned in my previous video that I did a lot of pre-work in my new relationship, and I hadn't done that. Not only did I not do the pre-work, we weren't in counseling until it got bad. So we didn't know what we didn't know. There was no kind of proactiveness about working those things out. And even when the problem started coming up, our first our first run was to the church, which was cool, but that honestly wasn't the issue. Like, we both loved God. We both wanted to serve God. We weren't trying to abandon spiritual principles or the Bible as the standard, though there's always going to be, something biblically that we can go back to be rooted in. We had a lot of healing and reckoning that we needed to do with our younger selves, with the situations that we grew up with our parents, with the things in our past that has shaped us. So for all of my Christians out there that are really in community, that have great relationship, keep doing that. That is absolutely necessary. And get you a counselor. Get you a coach, get you somebody who's trained specifically in certain areas to be what you need. I hope that makes sense for y'all. Let me know what y'all think about that in the comments, because I feel like perhaps that can feel a little dicey for people, but we just got to get honest. We just got to get honest and stop over spiritualizing things. Okay. The second reason in retrospect why my marriage failed was that I thought, oh, since he's a Christian man, surely XYZ is going to change once he's my husband. And in general, I feel like we do this, male or female, that we think like, oh, but once I get married, like we married then, so like something's going to be different. Something's going to shape. And I wrote down in my notes, I was like, well, he was already a Christian man. So if the things weren't happening then, what did I think was going to change just by standing up there and saying some words and signing a marriage certificate? Like, what, in retrospect, like, what did I actually think? What light bulb did I think was going off? Like, I'm not really sure. I think maybe, I don't know. I think like, and perhaps some of it is because like women, let me just speak for myself. No, I'm gonna speak broadly too. So I feel like women tend to do a lot of like things to prepare for marriage, and we be watching the videos, we be listening to the podcast, we be trying to prepare ourselves for our future mate. So I think that like even naturally, because of the way that we're wired as nurturers, as caretakers, we think about, the role of wife and what we need to be like. And so I'm thinking, oh, well, that's gonna be the same thing for him. Like once he's a husband, he's gonna understand that those things don't work no more. And so I was thinking like, oh, because I'm just his girlfriend now, I can't, really ask those things of him. But once I'm his wife, that carry weight. So that's gonna hit different. And baby, no, it don't. No, it won't. That's not to say that there should not be like you don't have to change and you don't have to grow, because both individuals should be committed to continual growth for the rest of your life. I hear seasoned married couples say all the time, the person that you married is not the same person 5 years from now, 10 years from now. So we both have to be willing to grow and adapt. But whoever they are at their core and the things that they're showing you, take those things. Don't think that a title is going to change who this man or woman is. They're showing you who they are right now at their core. Take that. If nothing changed, would this be somebody who I would love to spend the rest of my life with? That's what we need to be asking ourselves. The third reason that I feel in retrospect why my marriage failed is that I wrote here, I needed to assume the issue could be attributed to something other than maybe this just isn't going to work, but I didn't really have the emotional maturity or awareness for that. So this is huge. This goes back to my premier statement of you don't know what you don't know. When things started to get rocky, I would be like, well, maybe this just ain't supposed to work, and I can think back to like, I don't know, like I saw many marriages in my family that technically stood the test of time in different ways, but I never saw the work. I didn't see or hear the productive conversations that were happening. I didn't see the wrestle and then the resolution. I didn't see or hear. When I say see, I mean like hear it, have it modeled, the like, you know, here's what the conflict was and how you hurt me and how I'm choosing to love healthily instead. I didn't see those things, and that's different. Like, I saw marriages that stood the test of time, but I didn't necessarily see the work that was put in. And so because I didn't see the work, my bad y'all, because I didn't see the work, I don't think that I fully understood that the things that I was experiencing was normal. You know, I just thought, oh, well, I know that I saw the unhealthy conflict and when people was cutting up in marriages. And so if this feels like you cutting up, then maybe this ain't supposed to work, you know, because I wouldn't even say that I saw, you know, lots of divorce growing up. I just don't think that I saw healthy relationships. And can we talk about that? Can we talk about that? I might need to make that its own video, because there can be marriages that stand the test of time, and that still don't mean that that's what we want. Like, people be staying together, and that's all they're doing. They just stand together. So we can talk about that at some point. But so yeah, when the conflict was coming up, I didn't know that it was so normal, you know, because I had never really seen that play out well and play out in a healthy way. And so the last thing that I wrote down for why my marriage failed is that we needed to seek God before we sought people. I am a doer. I am type A. I am a perfectionist, all of the things. So I just want you to tell me what I need to do to be successful, and I'm gonna do it. What's the recipe? What's the procedure? What's the outline? What's the manual? You know, which I thought the Bible was giving me. And in some ways it did, and back to my first point. So, yeah. So I would just seek out the recipe. Okay, well, let me go talk to these people so they can tell me what needs to change and get better. And then, you know, just like boom, if you do that, then it'll get better. But that mindset is not one of long suffering. That mindset is not one of bearing with someone. And I was asking them for insight and wisdom before asking the person that actually saw it too, right? God sits high and looks low, as we say in the church. And so there were us in our household experiencing the thing, and then God who saw it. And so the crazy thing in retrospect is that, like, as opposed to going to the one other person who sees us as well and is actually all knowing and has all the answers, I go to limited people first, you know, seeking out their wisdom. And again, this isn't an either or, it's a both and, but my priorities should have been different. And at that time I was a younger Christian. And so again, I'm doing the things that I think that I'm supposed to do, but I see that in retrospect, like, man, I really needed to seek God first. And now as a mature Christian, I can have more confidence in doing that than I think I had as a newer Christian at that time. I gotta wrap up before this camera shuts off on me. I hope that helps somebody. As I always mention here at A Radical Relationship, the goal is to help you go deeper in these relationships through self-examination first. My signature program of 3 months walks you through, hey, let's look at your relationship with God, let's look at your relationship with self, let's look at your relationship with others, and really align you foundationally as we start to move towards these goals. So hit your girl up, set up a discovery call if you think that coaching could be beneficial for you, to have somebody to hold your hand to walk you through some of these things so that you can realize the results that you're hoping to see. All right, folks, until next time, we are out. Stay tuned for exciting announcements coming up. Very excited about those announcements. Stay tuned and tap in with the Radical community, because we are about to turn up in there, and I would love for you to be a part of it. Until next time, we are out. Bye, y'all.